I'm sorry, I'm going to have to occasionally stand up to see you over here, and I apologize for that, since I have this podium in the way. I've gotten a couple of questions. Let me field the questions, then I'd like to do the pages part of it to cover some of the things that I screwed up last week. And then we can go into the answers to the questions. But we typically have been having trouble with time, and if I tail off in the back, wave at me, so I'll try to project a little more if you can't hear, all right? So in the white shirt there, help me if you can't hear me. Okay, so any questions that are burning here? I had one earlier about how to make a new mailbox, so I'll just review that. Any other questions from the audience? Anybody got anything? I'm sorry, yeah, you're going to have to sort of wave at me so I can see.
Comment on pages. If you import Avery templates, you got to use the .doc format. Otherwise, it doesn't work.
I'm sorry, was that a question or just a comment?
It was a comment.
Okay.
Something I learned the hard way.
If you use Avery templates, you have to use the doc format. Yeah. I think that's true, but I think you can open the doc. I think you can open the doc format in Pages and then use it.
Yes, you can.
It'll translate. Right?
DocX does not work. That's the
Oh, that's the point. Oh, I see. Another question.
John.
John.
I did Messenger, a whole bunch of messages a couple of years ago, whenever. I don't know how to delete it. It doesn't have the edit and delete thing.
Okay, how to delete. Other questions?
How do you get rid of the book out of Ibook?
Haha, and I found the answer.
Oh, you did, okay.
What was that question?
Yeah,
How
I
to
know the
delete
answer to
how to delete an iBook in, with Marilyn here, she can actually, if you had been on Monday, you would have been able to answer that, because I didn't know the answer. From iBook. And if I could type, I would only have to do things once. Other questions? Oh, this is an easy group today. There were several emailed. I'll try and find the ones that were emailed. So we'll get to do that. All right. Last week I tried to do this, and on Monday I tried to do this, and for some reason I was having one of those senior moments, I guess. So let me try and talk about a couple of things that I didn't cover. These notes are from the January 17th meeting, and then I just appended for this thing. I'll post these. I didn't get to do it with the classes that I was doing. I was just completely discombobulated. So last week we covered a few things like how to set the formats, how to make a section, which I hope you all remember, but basically they're these little icons off to the side here. So if you want to make a section, you just go somewhere where you want to make a section, and then you tell it that I want to create a new section after this one, or starting with a new page or whatever, and it doesn't. And I covered that. There are some notes here. But the two things I wanted to cover, which I didn't get to, one was about versions, and Pages lets you do versions very nicely. It's sort of a mini time machine, if you will. So when you're doing like a whole series of letters, you don't have to make a new document every time to do the letters. You do a letter, you save it, and then modify it, and when you save it again, it creates a version. So the question is, so how do I see the versions? And I'm saying version, not virgin. So if I slur my words, I'm not, trying to do anything, whatever. Anyway, on the upper menu there, I think you can see it says File, Pages and File, and under File, there's this nice thing that's called revert. Where's my, right there, revert to. Everybody see that? And maybe I can blow this up if I remember how to.
Previous save for all versions.
Yeah, revert previous save, which is yesterday at 5 o'clock, or browse all versions. I like the browse, because browse takes it just into the time machine format. You can see it this way. So this is the format that I have today, or the document I have today. If I wanted to go back, I can go back here. You have 4 or 5 different versions of this thing. This is the first one I did back on January 16th. And if I wanted to restore that, I could restore it. And that's the version from January 16th. It's just that easy to find an old document to find this document in its prior configurations. So every time you save a document, it will be saved in sequence, and you can go back and reformat it. So like a holiday letter, everybody sends holiday letters. You don't have to recreate a new holiday letter now. Use the old holiday letter, just change the date, send it out again. And, you just have one with a new date. And if you want to personalize it, you put new names in there. It's really sort of a cool little feature.
Marty, does this feature work in numbers also?
Yeah, it works on all the iWork documents. So versions is a very cool little feature. Questions about that?
Marty, if you have 50 of those things,
You have 50 of them.
you easily get rid of them.
You have 50 of them.
I mean, is there a simple way to just get delete and just keep one?
Why would you want to do that? It doesn't take more space. It doesn't occupy anything. It's just keeping. It's not keeping a document each time, so you're not like using a lot of space. It just keeps the changes, and it's basically an index, right? Jerry.
You also can do a save as, which would create a new document without all the versions.
Right. Sure. You can always do duplicate, which makes another copy of it, if you wanted to keep a physical copy of the document. But Apple's done that for us, so you don't really need to worry about making extra copies.
John, did you hear what Jerry said? A save as?
Well, we don't have save as, you have duplicate in pages, right?
Hold the option key.
You have to hold the
Oh, if I hold the option key?
Previous save.
I didn't know that. All right, so that's another new thing we're going to put on here. You learn something at every meeting. Where's Don? Don's, what is it, so much to learn, so little time? So,
Marty, can I make one other comment?
sure, hold on a minute. I got to make the note about save as. Save as can be found by holding the option key in the file menu. Go ahead, Jerry, sorry.
If you worry about sending that file as an attachment to an email message, and you don't want the people to see that it took you 55 versions to get that document. When you attach it, none of the versions go with it. They only give the final copy. So the versions are inside your computer, but they do not get sent.
Yeah, that's true. And in fact, if you send this document to your iPad separately from using handoff, it also doesn't take the versions with you. You only get the first version, the latest version, if you email it. So the other questions on that before I go on?
Right here.
How do you bring up that list of pages on the left side?
How do I bring up the list of pages on the left side?
Thumbnail.
This is called page thumbnails, and in this little view menu over here, there's a drop down that says show page thumbnails or hide page thumbnails, show comments, and show the find and replace, the ruler, hide the comments, hide the character count. So you just click that little guy and got it? Yeah, page thumbnails are very cool. The thing I'm using, by the way, is called, which format is this? The Pages format or the there are two formats for pages documents. Let me think of it. Here it is. Convert to page layout. I do a lot of newsletter kind of things where I'll get inputs from different people in the organization and I have to organize them. And if you're in page format, in page layout, this choice there, convert to page layout, if you're in that format in Pages, you can't move a page. You can't do that. If you're in the page format, in this format, and I make a different section, let me make this a section just so I can show you what I'm talking about. If I go to Document, create a new section starting with this page, you see now I've got a yellow line around it. It's barely visible there. Maybe I can blow this up so you see it a little bit better. I guess it only blows up this side, huh? Yeah, well, there's a little line around it. This is now a section, and I can move that section to be the first section instead of being the last section. And so in the page format, when I'm getting different inputs from people, then I can move a section around, and it's very nice to have a section when you're doing things like a newsletter. If you're typing just your own document, it doesn't matter. If you're typing your memoirs and you want to have different sections that you can move around, change the order or change your character, then sections is a very useful thing. And the page format lets you do that very easily. If I was in page format, it would not let me move pages. I'd have to cut the text and make a new page and put it in. The other thing I wanted to show you is a table of contents, which I use a lot. And table of contents, you create a table of contents by making different headings conform to a different format, one of the choices that it gives you here on your format. So, for example, with my cursor in the text here, I've made this heading red. But if I didn't want it to be heading red, if I wanted it to be title, I could change that to title. And then if I go to the next section, this is still heading red. And the third one might be heading red. And down here might be something like, I don't want to use that one because that's got a thing on it. Let's try to use, well, I'll use those three. So now I want to make a table of contents. I go up to Insert, and under Insert it says Table of Contents. Your cursor again has to be in the text. And the text lets me make a table of contents for a document, for a section, or to the next occurrence of something. So for example, well, let's talk about the first two. Let's say I wanted to make a table of contents for my document. It would let me pick, it lets me pick which of those labels will be in my table of contents. So my table of contents right now would have Title II heading or heading red in it. And my table of contents appeared where I put it. My table of contents, where was my cursor? I'll do it again, sorry. So let me put my table of contents here. So my cursor's here. I want to insert a table of contents, and I want to use document, and I'm going to use these three things to create my heading. And you see where I put it? Click document and insert table of contents with a few keystrokes. And that's the two headings that are called, that are heading red. Those two headings then became my table of contents. Okay, let me do it again. I'll change it to something other than that heading. So I'm going to make this guy This right now is title. And let's just make this say new so that we get the idea where it is. And I'm going to take this guy, insert table of contents, and I'm going to change my format. I'm just changing the text so you can all see it. And I'm going to label this thing also title. So I've got two document things that I've just labeled title. See that on the right-hand side there, title. So when I want to make a table of contents, this is going to be my new table of contents. So my cursor is positioned underneath these two guys, right? And I'm going to insert a table of contents for the document, and I want it to include my titles. So everything that was labeled title, everything that's labeled title 2, everything that's labeled heading, and everything that's labeled heading red, see the 4 check boxes here, becomes part of my table of contents. If I change one of those, I'll go back and change one just so you see that it happens. If I change one of these and I make it body instead of heading red, it will go away from the table of contents, because my table of contents now has only 3 elements, not 2 elements. You get it? You have to pick the text, label it the way you want it to be labeled, and then it creates a table of contents. It's very easy way to do tables of contents. And you can do it for a section instead of the whole document. So for example, this is a section. I can make tables of contents just for a section just by doing the same process. Insert table of contents for the section. Your cursor always has to be there, of course. Insert table of contents for the section. And the table of contents is empty because there are, in this section, in this yellow highlighted part, there are none of these characteristics. I would have to find some other content. Like when I add title, my table of contents for this section includes these 3 elements. When I undo title, it says it's empty because you're not using any of these paragraph title styles. Okay? If you want to do it, call me and I'll talk you through it. It's a very nice little feature of Pages, though. It's quite handy. So I'll try and clean this up and I'll post it so it's more intelligible. Not many people use tables of contents unless you're writing a book. I happen to be in the middle of a bunch of different things like that, you know. My grandkids keep asking me all these kinds of questions about what did you do in the service, so I'm trying to write some things for them and give them some structure to the documents. Marilyn, did you want to add anything?
No.
Would making an index be as easy
I don't know
with practice?
I don't know if they have an index. I suppose you could do it that way and put the index. You could put a table of contents at the back, because it doesn't matter where it doesn't matter where you put it, right? I put it in the middle here. Normally you would have a table of contents at the top, but you can put it anywhere. The limitation probably is you want to do an index usually by subject or by word, and this is by paragraph style.
Marty, I would add that the sidebar is also available on the iOS. It doesn't have as many choices, but it has
That this is available?
the
Or the
sidebar, yeah.
This one?
It has the thumbnails, the word count, and the ruler.
Right. Yeah, it's in.
Which is a new feature, which is very nice.
So with this Pages on the iPad, give you the option to make table of contents?
Sure.
Yes? Did you say yes, Mark?
Yes. Now that I said that, I'm not sure that's true. I think so. So here's, let me just open this a little bit. This is on my iPad. And Marilyn's point is, if you have a, there's a sidebar here where you can do several things.
No, I was talking about the thumbnail sidebar.
This sidebar.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there it is.
I guess I gotta turn that off. Oh, I'm doing it on the wrong one, which is why it's not working. Right? If I open this page thumbnails here, I get page thumbnails. Marilyn's point is I get also word count and ruler on the left sidebar, and this little icon-y thing, right? And I'm doing it again. Not very smart, so it takes me a while. And then on the right sidebar, you have all these things, including change tracking, bookmarking, document setup. So you can create however document you want in whatever structure you want. I don't know if I can do insert here. I can insert all sorts of videos and stuff. I don't think I can do table of contents here. Can I? Marilyn, do you know?
No, I'm not sure.
I don't see it. So that's something you'd have to hand off to your Mac to use. But it's quite a strong word processor. I do all my typing here using pages. All right, so that's the subject I wanted to cover. Let's see if I can get out of this and get to your questions. Go away. Stop there. Okay, we had one question earlier about how do you delete a whole series of emails at one time?
In 30 seconds.
In 30 seconds. So that was a trick question, right?
On what,
Because all I have to do is select them all.
iPhone?
Oh, on an iPhone
Yes.
or on my Mac. You're not going to let me do it on the Mac?
No.
Because I just do Command A, and I hit the delete button. And they all go away. Right? Well, I didn't hit the delete button because these are all my emails. Right?
How did he do that?
So I'm Mail, right? Here's Mail. I put my cursor in there and select one. I do Command A, select them all, right? Command A always selects all, right? And then I hit the delete button and they would all go away. In fact, I'll do it. Command A, all gone, or A, delete. Now I can do Command Z and get them all back.
What brought it back?
Command Z. There are 4 commands that you all should know. Command A selects all. Command C copies all, or copies. Command X cuts. And Command Z, actually 5. Command Z redoes. And Command V pastes. Those 5. Bob.
But you better do Command Z right away.
Yeah, if you do something else, Command Z doesn't work. You can do it sequentially. It depends on what you're doing, but generally speaking, Command Z has to be done in near term.
But you can't do that on phone.
You can do it on an iPad, which you're going to let me do here. So I'm going to go to my mail. Here's my mail. Now in Mail, If I can, let me blow this up a little bit so you can see it a little better. In Mail, there's always a thing up here called Edit, right? On your list, Edit. And Edit gives you these little circles on the side here, right? But down at the bottom, it says Mark All. See it down here? Mark All. So I can mark all. Why doesn't Mark All give me trash?
It's a move to jump.
Mark is red, none is
Say it again. Mark is what?
Mark is red.
red, I believe.
Mark is red.
No, that
There's a
was
second
read
set.
them all.
Marcus, unread.
So somebody's making a liar out of me here. Maybe it's all inbox. Maybe it's a single inbox.
He did. What I do is I put them in the order of from.
No, but this worked earlier. What's different on a phone than on here?
Marty,
Go ahead.
before you do a mark all, there is a delete all on the right-hand side.
There is?
Go back to where it was. Get together.
See, I only see it.
For me, I've got a mark all or a delete all option. Select all first, don't you?
Select
It
message,
says select
delete or
message,
remove.
delete or remove.
Oh, I'm not gonna, he doesn't want to do this because he's got 6,000 of them. See, if I pick one, I get the trash at the bottom, right? That's easy. But what's different about this than a phone? Because they did this on the phone earlier, and it worked.
If you
Maybe I'll cheat.
highlight one of the messages and then hit Command A, I believe that would highlight all of them.
Yeah, but I don't have a Command A on either.
Oh, not only I
Marty, I'm sorry, I was in my trash folder.
Oh, yeah, trash. Let me see here. On my phone, I can do mark all. Well,
What would you like to trash?
I'm going to have to find the answer because I did it and I don't know how to do it now.
Were you able to bring them back?
No. But he didn't ask me to bring them back. He asked me to delete them. So stop giving me hard questions, people. There's one that I know how to do. Where's John? John? No, the other John.
Right here.
How to delete books from your Mac.
Delete books.
Delete books from your Mac. This is from your iBook. It says, if I could read it, it would be better, right? View, zoom in again. It says, select the book, then delete, press the delete key. So I'm going to open iBooks, and I'm going to pick a book. I don't want to do this now, calm down. I'm going to pick a book, and if I press the delete key, it says, do I want to remove the download? I say yes, and now it's in the cloud.
You get that far, so it's in
You
the-
get that far? So what's the problem?
We just
Well,
don't
we just
want
want, it keeps coming back, I don't need it there.
It keeps coming back?
Things I could get rid of,
Well, it's Winnie the Pooh, they gave it to us as a sample.
Right.
You know, they want Winnie the Pooh.
So now it's in the cloud. Why do you care? It doesn't take any space.
You gotta look at it.
You can hide things in the cloud so you don't see them, but you can't delete them from the cloud. They don't like it. No.
If he hides, if he does the next step, will it take it off his screen? If you do a hide in the cloud, he's just not one to look at it, right?
Yeah. My great granddaughter was getting older.
You don't want to see it anymore?
Some of those are.
Now it says here, hide iCloud books. So now I'm going to hide it. So you can delete it. See, I thought you were asking a really hard question. So I actually had to
You can't
go.
delete it, you just hide it.
You can hide it but not delete it. Right.
Then how do you get it back?
You unhide. So here's iBooks. This is fair. This is fair. It says view and it says show iCloud books.
It's better.
Our
Hide
granddaughter
and
might go
show.
old enough in a couple of years.
For your great grandchildren, you're going to worry about it. Right?
Well, we saw her Sunday, you know. She's a
Yes.
vegetarian.
My question was not how to delete mail, my question was how to delete messages from Messenger.
No, I know. His question was, he emailed me the question earlier.
So you can't delete it, you just
So that's
hide
that.
it.
You want to delete messages. And probably Jim or somebody knows how to do this.
Well, they
Let's see
need
if
to
I
turn on
have.
story.
You want to delete messages on what?
On the iPhone.
On a Mac?
On the iPhone.
I don't even know.
Sign in. That didn't work. What did I type? I typed that wrong. Oh, but you're asking me on my iPhone anyway.
Does it matter which iPhone?
It probably matters because everything's different on every all these
Yeah, I'll
devices.
say I can.
Not sign
delete a
into
lot of
iMessage.
stuff.
Why can't I sign into iMessage? All right, so I'll use my phone, my iPad here.
No, there's nothing there. It's not
So you want to go to messages. Hope there's nothing secret on here.
Probably so.
And you want to delete your messages. So don't you just do select and delete? Let's see if I wanted to delete that guy. Don't I get a select and delete down here?
Slide it across.
Slide.
Slider one?
So I can delete a single one by edit, and then down here delete. And you're saying if I slide it, it will also let me do it. So I put my finger on there and slide it. I have to be out of edit.
Slide it over now.
You got it? So I can slide it across and
Yes,
delete it,
There it is.
right? I'm not gonna because I don't want to get rid of these, but if I go all the way, it deletes it just like I do on an email.
You try it on mine.
Try it on yours, it doesn't work?
No, I don't see that. It doesn't slide.
It doesn't slide. So you have to edit, delete. What is all this stuff?
Friends and relatives went nuts around Thanksgiving.
Yeah, but I never saw the display like this.
I don't know exactly. Well, actually, that's from Facebook.
Oh, this is Facebook. I don't know anything about Facebook.
Well, I don't either.
Does anybody know how to delete messages in Facebook? Because this is message, he's using Facebook Messenger, not this Messenger.
Well, I use both, but they send me this stuff.
Yeah. Sorry about that.
It's okay.
Okay, so the other question was about how to make a new mailbox. And on your you would think I would figure this out. I have to be over here. So the question was, how do I create, let me make that a little bigger so we can see, everybody can see it. Do this again. How do I create a new mailbox? If I want to store, let's say for a trip or something, I want to store stuff, how do I do that? So I just did this for my, for our Israel trip.
You don't.
So the easiest way is to touch edit up at the top, and then down here at the bottom it says new mailbox,
Yeah, add it.
right? See that? So you touch new mailbox, it says name the new mailbox, so I'm going to call it test. I need to move that down so you can see what I'm doing. I can name it test. And then the second part of this is mailbox location. And mailbox location just says, where do you want to put it? Do you want to put it in iCloud, or do you want to put it in some other place? So I have all my mailboxes in iCloud because I have the most storage, and that way I don't worry about storage. So I would just say I want to put it in iCloud. I'm going to touch right here where it says iCloud, right? And I'm going to make, now that is going to be stored in iCloud as the name test. And just so you can see it easily, I'm going to put, sorry,
Save it.
I'm going to put it in with some little lines. That makes it go to the top, so you'll be able to see it. So now I say save, save, and at the top of my iCloud list, beneath inbox, drafts, sent, junk, etc., is my mailbox called test. And then I just treat it like any other mailbox. I store stuff there and do it. You can see I have lots of different subjects. I put my discounts and my tickets in a particular, in a particular mailbox. And then I have to say done, done. So then I can put stuff there. And how do I put stuff there? I go pick a mail, let's say this top one, right? And up here I have the choices of the flag lets me flag it, but it also gives me mark as unread, move to junk, or notify me. That's a reminder, right? You all know this. And then under the folder guy, if I touch this, it gives me the option of where do I want to put it in my folder. So here's test. I would just touch test, and it just sent that mail over to test. So now I'm going to go look for it in test. On the side here where it says test. And there's Tradition Gold. There's the mail I just put in there.
Marty, after you do a few, it recognizes where you might want to send it.
Right.
It automatically gives you the option.
Right. So for example, George's point is, if I go to my inbox again, I'll go to this inbox, and let me find, let me see if this one will work. I'm going to find VectorVest, and VectorVest, hopefully it knows that it will say move to VectorVest. So after a while it learns where you want to put it, and it gives you the choice without you having to go through that second step of go into mailboxes and finding the mailbox. You just touch move to VectorVest and then puts it in there. So if I do that, it just left and went into my VectorVest folder. And I have hundreds of folders, so I just go down here and find VectorVest. It's down there. But I use those little dashes to put things at the top that I don't want to keep having to find, keep having to do this. So if I wanted to, so when I store stuff over here, these little dashes, 3 dashes, 1 dash, 1 dash, 1 dash, 1 dash, let me put them at the top of my list of mailboxes. Lets me store stuff there.
You have to look at each mailbox every day to see if something's in it.
No, personally, I use the top one, which is all mailboxes. This one. So it shows me all the mail in one time. In that, you can see I have a lot of different mailboxes for different reasons. So this mailbox shows me all my mail at one time. It's all in one place. And then I just sort them and get rid of them. Most of it's junk, so I just go junk, 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 junk.
Why are they different colors to the left?
Why are they different colors?
Red, looks like red, some have red circles, one was blue.
Well, the red circles, these little circles are flags, right? Because when I add a flag to something, it makes this little orange dot. So if I unflag this, it makes the dot go away. See, I unflag it. If I flag it, and that's flagging is for me is a reminder.
It flags all mail from the one sender, or?
No, I use.
Mail, right? I don't know why it has the dots.
Well, the dots are the flags. Those are things that I need to follow up on, and the blue ones are unread.
Oh, okay, you've already read those.
Yeah, those are red.
Thanks.
These guys, the blue one at the top is unread, right? And on an iPad, you only get one color. On your Mac, you can put different colors. So on my Mac, I use different flag colors for different things. Jerry?
I'm asking, isn't the control down at the bottom also what you select what filter?
Yeah, this is a filter. Jerry's asking about, can you all see that there's a little dot down there? A little like liney thing in the circle? That circle gives you a filter. Let me move this up so maybe you can see it a little better. I guess it won't let me move it up, it only lets me make it bigger. This filter is by unread, or I can pick include mail from a certain sender or a certain mailbox. I can include unread or flagged. I can include mail that's addressed to me or CC'd, only mail from it with attachments or only mail from VIPs. So you can filter this. It's not a very strong filter. I don't use it very often because unfiltered mail is always there. I don't know why that's a choice, or unflagged. I guess flagged lets me pull it all together. So I don't use the filtered thing very much.
How do you change the filter criteria? Mine only comes up with.
Yeah, you can't. You just touch in the middle of that, and it shows you the various filters. When you touch the blue thing, it gives you a filter by unread, and if you touch that filter by unread, it gives you that list of what to include, who it's addressed to, that kind of stuff. But as I said, I don't use that very much. I find the search thing much better, personally.
How can you get rid of the VIP mailbox?
You can. It's a system mailbox, and it's there. Just move it to the bottom and don't worry about it.
Don't make anybody a VIP.
Yeah, that's true.
It automatically assigns me as VIP, and it duplicates all the mail to me.
Well, take yourself off of VIP. In contacts, how do you do that? Aha.
And the VIP mailbox will actually go over it.
Yeah, it's just an empty star. So, sorry.
What was the answer? How do I
I'm going to
remove
show you.
myself?
I'm going to show you. in your contacts, right? Can I make, is this big enough to see? Maybe not. In your contacts, here's Don Peacock. And I can edit Don Peacock. And I can say, where is make him a VIP? Isn't it in edit? Isn't it in edit? Yeah, I'm in edit mode. Picture. Okay, somebody give me a hint here. I know it's in here somewhere. About make a VIP. Edit the card, can't be. Card.
Yeah, but the menu might be different for yourself.
Yeah, but this isn't. Or is it in phone? It must be in phone.
Is it in notes?
No, it's, I think it's in phone. Okay, that's homework. Because I know you can add a VIP.
I'm looking at my iPhone and I don't see anything about VIP when I go to edit myself.
You have to go to your mailboxes, tap on the I for VIP, and it gives you a list of your VIP list.
Say it again, go to your
Go to
mailboxes.
your mailboxes,
Okay,
and where it says VIP, there's a I and a blue circle. At least on my iPhone there is.
On the bottom.
Yeah, it's on the iPad too.
You touch the I, it says VIP. You find your VIP mailbox.
go to my mailboxes.
It says add VIP there.
I'm looking at my mailboxes, I don't see anything about it. I see all my different accounts.
Do you have a VIP mailbox?
No, not on this phone, I don't.
Well, if I tap on my VIP mailbox, there's a blue eye inside the blue circle. It gives me a list of my VIPs. Then if
Oh,
I
and then
hit
it says
edit, I
add.
can delete any of them.
Adding and to.
See, that's why this is from many to many, right? Right, so the answer is, in your mailbox list, there's this thing called VIP, and then over here it says, on mine it says add VIP here, so I would touch that. And Alexa is now added to my VIP list. Who's Alexa? Is that somebody?
Okay, now you see the blue circle with the eye next to the VIP mailbox?
Yes,
Now if you tap on that,
right, I get this list.
right, and it says edit
Add.
above VIP list. If you tap edit, then you can delete.
So Don, you got that all?
Yes, thank you.
You tap the VIP thing, we'll just get this for the camera here. You tap the VIP thing, it says add a VIP, and you would touch that, and it gives you all the people in your thing that are VIPs, right? And then once you pick one, and then you go over to VIP. Did I not do that right? Just put it in here. We'll do alcohol.
Yeah, I did not.
So I can't add it for some reason. All right, there's Alexa. So here's Alexa, right? Now I'm gonna either touch it here or touch it here, it doesn't matter, but edit gets me out of it. I delete Alexa by deleting. And then I say delete. So Don, did you find yourself and delete yourself?
I will on my other device, thank you.
Thank you. All right, what were the other questions that we needed to deal with?
There's one here.
Go ahead, sorry.
The other day, Monday, you mentioned that you compared keychain to 1Password.
Yeah.
Did I detect that you were favoring keychain versus not 1Password?
No, they're parallel, and one offers more security than the other.
Which one?
Well, 1Password does, because you have that master password that can be 86 characters long or whatever, right? Because keychain, once you're in a computer like this one, if you're in here and you go to Safari and you look for your now they've gotten a little better because they've added another step in security.
Yeah, that's what
right. Here's Safari. If you go to Safari preferences, close this guy again. You go to Safari preferences, here are your passwords, right? You have to put a new, this used to be open, this used to be right into your keychain passwords. Now you have to put your password in again to see all your passwords, right? And there are all my passwords. And if I just click on one, I say reveal, and there's the password. There's the password. So it's very open. You know, to remove a password, I get in a second, you can add or remove passwords right from here. Right? Jerry, go ahead, sir.
One more advantage of the 1Password over keychain is if you happen to have, pardon my French, an Android or PC, keychain doesn't work with those devices.
Right.
1Password does.
Right.
So 1Password supports multiple environments.
Right. And there was another question about Safari. Is Beatty Safari question? The question came up in the class on Monday about private mode. Let me just show you private mode. When you're in Safari and you do file, it'll say new window or a new private window. Now that's Shift Command N, which is how I do it. But Shift Command N or new private window. New private window will open a window, and you can surf and you can do everything that you normally do in Safari in a private window. But then there's no record kept of it. It doesn't go into your history. It doesn't go into your last visited pages or any of that kind of stuff. So, for example, Valentine's Day is coming, and if I didn't want my wife to see, because we share a computer at home, if I didn't want her to see that I was buying flowers or jewelry or arranging a trip or something like that, I would use I would use private mode. I would enter FTD, let's say, and go buy my flowers and so forth and so on. And then when I finished and I close this page, then there's no record of it kept in history. So here's FTD. Normally, I would be able to see this in my history. When I close this page, I do that and I look at history. History doesn't show, even in recently closed, history doesn't show my FTD visit. So it's a way to visit sites and not have any trace of it, all right? The other thing that's useful about it
Let me
is,
ask,
it doesn't, I'm sorry, there's 2 or 3
I'm
questions.
sorry.
The other thing about it is, it doesn't go in any, it doesn't remember your passwords or any of that kind of stuff, so you don't get it. George, go ahead.
If my grandson was in town and he was on my computer,
Yeah.
Right, you,
We always blame the porn for our grandson, but it's really George.
no.
Private mode.
He can get into private mode. Is there a way that I can disable private mode?
Not to my knowledge, no. Jerry, do you know? Not to my knowledge, no. Go ahead, question.
I believe it's Google that has incognito.
Yeah, incognito is the same thing. Or if you do, I mean, they all have a function like this. They call it different things. Stealth mode, I think Opera calls it stealth mode. But basically, it doesn't leave a trace, and it doesn't leave cookies, and there's no record of it kept anywhere. Another question in the back. That was your question. Sorry.
Also, I believe when you do a search in any of those modes, the private modes, you're limited. It's not that they don't delve as deep into the search.
How are you limited? Because I'm not aware of that.
For example, if I'm trying to find, I don't know, a particular business or something, if I do a regular search, a lot of options come up. When you're in the private mode, there's limited options. They don't.
The search is not as thorough?
I'm not aware of that. I've never found any limitation
Yeah.
myself. You use Opera? Yeah, I mean, I use Opera, I use Firefox, I use them all for different reasons, but, sorry.
George, back to your question about your grandchild. If you set up an account, you've got parental controls, maybe, and I'm not saying it's there, but maybe with parental controls in that account, you might be able to restrict it from that.
No, because my daughter thinks she's got everything covered with him, and I'm wondering, because I'm sure he knows about private mode. Huh? 14.
Okay, any other last minute questions that I haven't covered? Anybody sending something that I haven't covered? All right. Last minute question?
Yeah.
I didn't send it, but it's a good question. Mailboxes. If I delete it in my phone, how can I make it deleted on my Mac and my iPad? They don't seem to do that.
Your mail or
Right,
mailbox?
I get a message, I don't want it, I delete it. It's still on my Mac. Can you delete across all of them?
It shouldn't be. I mean, if you have IMAP, which kind of email do you have?
Use regular,
Gmail or
no,
iCloud?
whatever Apple gives me.
iCloud?
Right.
Well, iCloud's IMAP, it should work. I don't know why. Show it to me, maybe we can look at it. IMAP's always turned on.
Now, maybe he doesn't have the
The issue might be where you're storing, there is a setting, let's talk about this. There is a setting in Mail, in accounts.
when you have to have mail turned on in the cloud.
No, not necessarily. Sorry, in Internet Explorer. I have to go to Internet Accounts to find it. System preferences, Internet accounts. When I look at, I guess I would do it the other way. It's mail preferences, right? I never remember whether it's there or here. In Mail, let's say iCloud Mail, right? Or one of these others. If you're putting your mail, this is mail account, mail preferences accounts, right? If you're storing your mail as an archive, instead of it being in the cloud, like this one says Gmail, all mail, right? If I put it on my Mac, that's what that little icon is, it would be stored on my Mac, not in the cloud, so it removes it from being IMAP. So it depends on how you have this, how you have these settings set up, of where you put it.
References and ready to go.
Accounts, and then mailbox behaviors. And just, if you look at them, for example, here, these are stored in the cloud, not down here where it says on my Mac. So if I put, and you can do this for drafts, sent, junk, trash, archive. If you're storing all your mail in the cloud, then it behaves the way it's supposed to. If you're storing it on your Mac, you don't do it. And most people don't adjust this. Most people don't have a need to adjust this. But if for some reason you put it on your Mac instead, it wouldn't be deleted from your Mac. You have to delete it twice.
Thank you.
But I mean, you know, show it to me. I'll be happy to look at it. Okay, thank you very much. Next week we're going to do iOS questions.